Scaffolding Maker Projects. We'll follow 3 steps to create an organized plan for how to support students in completing their project, as well as tracking their progress in order to know where to offer more support. The steps we'll follow are: 1. Create a list of need-to-know items. 2. Schedule lessons and activities needed. And 3. Create lessons and activities. In step 1, we are going to list the ideas or concepts that students need to know to successfully complete the project. Start with the criteria on your rubric. Each criteria is a need-to-know item. If a rubric criteria happens to be pretty complex, it may be multiple need-to-know items. Write down anything else students will absolutely need to learn in order to complete this project. This is a great opportunity to invite students to share what they will need to know in order to complete the project. Students will often provide way more ideas than you could teach in a short project, but it helps get the students to buy into the project and what they need to learn, as well as giving you insight into how students are approaching the project. Narrow your final need-to-know list down to the items that you will commit class time to. In step 2, you want to make sure that you have enough time to support or teach students everything they need to know. Look at each item from your need-to-know list and consider how much time you need to teach to each item. I prefer to give at least 1 class period to focus on each item. Trying to fit 2 different learning objectives in a short period of time gives more chance to lose students. Focusing on one learning objective allows to better measure and track it. If it doesn't take much to teach, allow students more time to practice it or go deeper with the concept. Or I prefer to have students combine it with the previous day's objective. For step 3, it is time to create the lessons or activities that support students in completing the project. Not every student needs the same level of support, but it is very effective to approach projects and each need-to-know item with a base level of support. It is better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Look at each item in your need-to-know list individually. Consider what students will need to be able to do to show they are ready to apply this learning to the project. Then consider how students could learn this. What kind of activity could they do to learn, or how would they get the information to practice it? Every good lesson or activity should at least have a point where students take in or find the new information they need, a chance for students to practice this information with low stakes and immediate feedback, and a chance to apply and test their new learning. Building on our previous examples, one of my need-to-know items was using the right symbols when diagramming a computer program. In order to accomplish this, they will need to make a diagram using the symbols appropriately. But in order to do this, they need to know what the symbols mean and how to use them. This is the information they will need to take in or find. I can design part of my activity to provide this information either through a lecture, a reading, a short video, or I can have the students be responsible for researching the symbols and sharing with their groups. There are many ways, and knowing my students, I'll make the choice that I think is best for them and for this activity. I then want to give students a chance to practice this information. I want the stakes to be low, I want the feedback to be immediate. I want students to practice and not be afraid of the new knowledge, and I want them to come out of this activity feeling confident that they understand the new knowledge. For this objective, maybe I'll have students use the symbols to diagram how to order a sandwich, something that allows students to practice without fear of failure and assure themselves that they are understanding the new concepts. Finally, when students have had practice and built their own confidence, I want them to apply these new concepts to something more challenging. I want them to try something real world. I want them to show that they are ready for applying this new knowledge into their bigger project. Perhaps I will have all students independently use the symbols to diagram the same simple program. Maybe I will have them independently find symbols used incorrectly in a pre-made diagram. This application is also a great assessment for me to be sure that students are ready for the big project. You may already have lessons or activities that would support students in the project, but should you need to build your own, it is simple enough to consider how they'll approach the new information or concept, how they'll practice it, and how they'll apply it. To review, it is very important that we scaffold and support students to be able to complete a project. As students get older and more self-directed, it is a good idea to shift more of the learning and knowledge finding to the student, but in most cases of project-based learning, it is very important to provide the support students need to be successful. The steps we can use are to 1. List the need-to-know items, 2. Schedule the time needed for the need-to-know items, and 3. Build lessons or activities to support each need-to-know item. This video concludes the series on how to integrate maker concepts into project-based learning. Hopefully, you have found this helpful and have learned how to connect academic subjects and maker projects, design maker learning objectives, construct maker driving questions, create assessments for maker concepts, and scaffold maker learning. Good luck on your work, and remember to start with a topic that you feel is manageable.